In my office, there's a vault where you can keep your will for safekeeping, which is only $5, which is a one-time fee. This is a good investment for $5. Unless you update your will, which is called a codicil, then you just pay that $5 for one time. Okay, the importance of you having your will. What is a will? Because some people say, well, can I put this on a piece of paper? No, you just can't do that. A will is a written document that directs the disposition of your property after death. And I always suggest when you're doing your will, organize your documents. Cannot stress enough how important that is to organize your documents, because you have a special place in your home where you keep your papers. But if you live alone, you never discuss that with someone, and when you pass away, they're ransacking your home trying to find that piece of paper. So organize your documents. Let someone know where that paperwork is. For your will to be valid, it must be in writing. You must sign and date your will in the presence of your witnesses. You must have two or more credible witnesses sign the will in your presence, and each witness must be at least 18 years of age. In Maryland, it doesn't have to be notarized to be legal, but it's automatically done when you go to an attorney. And anyone at least 18 years of age and sound mind. This is crucial because someone might come to my office with the will, and then weeks or months later, someone will say, well, that wasn't valid because mommy or auntie had Alzheimer's or dementia. So it's critical that the person is of sound mind when they come in to do the will. And we suggest that you consult an attorney or someone with a legal background to do your will. That way, it will ensure that your property is distributed as you desire. It will satisfy any other legal requirements affecting your estate and helps to minimize the chance of your will being challenged. It can be challenged even if an attorney does it. And trust me, family members, I'm sure not your families, will contest anything that you say or do. And that's why in my office we have panic buttons, because family members are fussing and fighting over something that supposedly was said or wasn't said. So what if you die without a will? That means intestate. The state law would determine how your assets would be distributed. Also in my office, we handle guardianship of minors and property of minors. And this is very crucial because in some communities you say, let me be the godchild, godparent, or this is my godchild. But make sure it's someone that will have the right emotional support, will they have the right home environment, will they have the time and energy, and will they be financially stable? Sometimes, we can't afford to maintain a child or grandchild, so this is very important. What properties should be included in your will? Probate assets pass through your estate and include assets in your name alone. Non-probate assets are your jointly held properties, life insurance policies, other items with the beneficiary. I always like to stop and talk about life insurance policies. Make sure if you have a life insurance policy, check the face value. Make sure it's enough to bury you. Also check your beneficiaries, because maybe a beneficiary that you have designated has predeceased you, or you might need to add another child or grandchild. This is very, very important. And sometimes you have a life insurance policy, say for example, that policy you had when you were working in 1999 is 2024, and the face value has changed. Then you go to plan a funeral, you don't have enough money to even cover. So this is very important. Check the face value of your policies, and not just your policies. Check the beneficiaries on your bank accounts, your CDs, your IRAs, to make sure you don't need to update. So your checklist for your will, decide who will inherit specific property, specific things you want someone to have. Not everything do you put in your will. Councilman Hawkins has those suits. Who would he leave those suits to? So specific things you want someone to have. Councilwoman Fisher, your jury. Watson, your jury. Who would you leave those things to? Down south people say your juries. Who would you leave your jury to in those first two specific things? Or if you collect something, you might have a collection of things that you want to lead to someone specifically. Also, it's good to have an alternate. And your personal representative, same as executor, does not have to be a family member, but someone that you know is going to carry out your wishes. Not every family member wants to be involved, or sometimes you have a family member that you wouldn't trust with your money. So make sure it's someone that you know will carry out your wishes. Also, I mentioned that my office has a vault where you can keep your will for safekeeping. It's not mandatory, but it's good to do. Sometimes you have a safe deposit box, and when you pass away, your family can't find that key. And guess what? You have to pay the bank to break open that lock, and hopefully, after all that, the will is in the safe deposit box. So if you have a safe deposit box and the will is there, let them know where the key is and which bank. You might have a safe deposit box in more than one bank, so let them know that. Your second step to planning, prepare advance directives, designate a power of attorney, and designate a healthcare power of attorney. I'm sure all of you remember years ago the Terry Schiavo case. There was something, had there been something in writing, they would have saved lots of time in the courtroom. The spouse said one thing, parents said something else. Your healthcare power of attorney and your financial power of attorney does not have to be the same person. Your healthcare power of attorney, what are your wishes? How long do you want to be kept on life support? How long do you want to be given pain medication? Your financial power of attorney, again, doesn't have to be a family member, doesn't have to be the same person, but someone that you know will take care of your finances. Not everybody can you trust with $10,000 going to the bank. So make sure you select the right person. Keep a list of your important information. For those of you who don't already have a will, always say, have a good cheat sheet. You know, name of the person of your personal representative, your attorney if you have one, your list of your assets. Perhaps you have timeshare in another state or you have vacation property, but does anyone know that? So keep a list of your assets, and also if you have more than one life insurance policy or if you have different bank accounts. You know, sometimes we're so secretive, we don't want anyone to know your business, but guess what? When you pass away, it all comes out. So have a good cheat sheet. And something I've started suggesting now, keep a list of persons you want someone to call when you pass away. You know, your family members can't remember the person you worked with years ago or your friend that you used to be in a club with. So keep a list, because when you think about it and your family is grieving, they can't think about everything. So it's good to have a little cheat sheet for your family. Who do you want them to call? And don't assume they know everything. Another thing I'm suggesting now in the community is think about writing your obituary. Because when you pass away, your family is grieving, and they're planning your funeral, but now they need to stop and write your obituary, like, when did you retire? When did you marry? When did you relocate? Little things we take for granted, but these are things we really need to think about. And sometimes family members don't want to talk about it. They say, oh, well, I've got time to do that. But, you know, when you look at the news, you really don't. We need to stop and think about those things. So to recap, you're going to do your will. Advance directives, what are your health care wishes? Power of attorney. Power of attorney is good to have, but it starts when the person is deceased. And just because you have power of attorney for someone, you're not automatically going to be the executor of the estate. You can be the same person, but it's not automatic. And again, let someone know what your health care wishes are. Yes.
Do you want us to do? Oh, no, you can keep going.
Okay.
You have a question? Yeah, I can. But I can retire. Oh, you can retire. Okay. Thank you, Council.
Okay, so this is, so part two, when someone passes away, you come to my office to open up an estate. There are three types of estates, and this is all determined by the value of your assets. And that's small estate, regular estate, and modified administration. And when you come to the office, regardless of what type of estate it is, you bring the original will, if you have one, and the death certificate, and the funeral bill, and names and addresses of spouse and children, if any, and anyone to inherit in the will. And sometimes you hear stories down south, everybody grew up in Big Mama's house, and you didn't know until you read the obituary someone you thought was your sister was really your cousin or vice versa. Trust me, they show up in my office. We'd have families come from Georgia, California, North Carolina. When they think they're going to inherit $1 or this much land, they show up. And it might be the person that didn't call you on your birthday, didn't wish you a Merry Christmas, but trust me, they're in the office and they want their fair share. That's why it's so important to put something in writing, because maybe you might want to leave $10 to one person, you want to leave $100 to another, but if you don't put something in writing, they'll get their fair share. So again, small estate, regular estate, no matter what type of estate it is, we always need the funeral bill, documentation of all assets in the decedent's name alone, and proof of any secured liens as of date of death. Maryland law requires that a bond, if necessary, be filed before being appointed as the personal representative. And I say personal representative, same as executor. Once appointed as personal representative, letters of administration are issued. This is the letter that gives you the authority to go to the bank or OPM or wherever to get information on the deceased. If there was a bank account or something without a designated beneficiary, if you call the life insurance company, they say, well, there's no beneficiary, I'm not the beneficiary, they're not going to talk to you until you show that you're the executor of the state. Then they'll give you information. Okay, we always suggest you contact Social Security to cancel any checks that need to be returned. If the person was still receiving a Social Security check, you need to call them because, sooner or later, Uncle Sam is going to want their money, and you have to pay it back. So it's best to check in advance before you decide to cash that check. We always suggest you talk to a finance person or an accountant to make sure there are no financial issues on the deceased. What expenses may be incurred during administration of estates? You have estate fees, taxes, appraisal fees, mortgage payments, and it goes down the line. Each estate is totally different. Deceased may have had no bills, and then they might have a deceased that had 25 credit cards and so many bills. So each estate is totally different. There may be federal and Maryland estate taxes. Again, we always suggest you talk to a finance person. Direct heirs are tax exempt, and other heirs that are tax exempt will be a spouse of a direct heir and a sibling. And then there's a 10% Maryland inheritance tax for collateral heirs, and your collateral heirs are your nieces and nephews. So I always suggest you think about what you want to accomplish through your will, collect and organize your information. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to organize your information and let someone know where those important papers are. We have so many cases where someone passes away, there's no family, and nobody knows who to call. So it's good to always have, as I said earlier, a cheat sheet so someone will know who to call and what your wishes were. This information on the screen, my office is located at the main courthouse in Upper Marlboro, and as you can see, it was on the screen, the website.
That was awesome. That was 13 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at you.
Good.
I'm
I
gonna.
talk fast.
You know, you did very well.